In the winter of 1837, 1 week before Christmas, 2,000 American soldiers marched into the Florida wilderness. They did not come to celebrate. They came to build a fort. A fort meant to break a people. A fort built in 7 days. A fort that would give its name to an entire town. This is Fort Christmas, where the holiday spirit collided with the brutal machinery of the Second Seminole War. Across back roads and forgotten towns, the past lives on. Not in textbooks, but in weathered plaques, quiet museums, and the stories we nearly lost. I'm Pelham Pugh, and this is American Shadows, uncovering the people, places, and relics that shaped our American history. Long before the fort, long before the name Christmas, these woods belonged to various native tribes, and later, the Seminole people. Communities who knew every bend of the river, and every hidden trail through the palmetto thickets. For generations, they hunted deer along these ridgelines, fished the river where the water turns the color of old teeth, and raised families beneath these same tall pines. Bowen, Florida became part of the United States in 1821. The push to move native peoples intensified. Pressure grew. Land was coveted, and policy hardened. By the 1830s, the Seminoles were told to leave. They refused. Washington ordered them removed by force. On December 25, 1837, the Army finished constructing a lodge stockade. They called it Fort Christmas, not out of cheer, but out of timing. The soldiers who built it marched through swamps, mud, and winter rains. Their boots rotted, their rations spoiled. The Seminoles moved swiftly through the hammocks, refusing open battle. The soldiers were determined to secure the St. Johns River Valley, so they set to work. Under the command of Brevet Major Samuel Churchill, roughly 2,000 troops chopped pine logs, drove stakes into the earth, and raised twin blockhouses, all in just 7 days. No ornaments, no carols, just the sound of axes, hammer strikes, and the restless echo of war. The Second Seminole War wasn't fought on open fields. It was fought in mangrove tunnels, sawgrass marshes, and the dense hammocks were a single step to sink a man waist-deep in mud. The U.S. Army expected traditional warfare. The Seminoles delivered something else entirely. Hit-and-run strikes, night attacks, ambushes from the tree line. Leaders like Osceola outmaneuvered larger forces again and again. Fort Christmas became one of many forts meant to choke the Seminoles' movement, a grid of outposts meant to trap a people who refused to surrender their homeland. But the war dragged on for 7 long years, one of the longest and most expensive Indian wars in American history. And Fort Christmas, like many, served only briefly before being abandoned. When the war ended, if it ever truly did, the fort faded into the woods. Time rotted the walls. The parade ground grew over. No soldiers remained. But the name stayed. Settlers moved in after the war and built homesteads, schools, and farms. And slowly a new town emerged, Christmas, Florida. Today the park preserves a reconstructed fort, along with a remarkable collection of 19th and early 20th century Florida cracker houses, silent reminders of the families who carved out a life in this unforgetting land. Here you can stand inside the blockhouse, run your hand along the timber rails, and imagine the tension of those December days in 1837, and the generations who followed, living in the long shadow of a war that reshaped Florida forever. Fort Christmas is more than a name on a map. It's a crossroads of war and settlement, memory and myth, a place where the land remembers every footprint that crossed it. If you enjoyed this journey into America's forgotten corners, like, subscribe, and share to help keep American shadows alive. You can support my work, find my books, and explore more history at pelhampew.com.